Great. Thank you so much, Natalia. I appreciate the intro. And hello, everyone. It's great to be here. Really looking forward to talking a little bit about this practical approach that we've really learned works really well for folks who are trying to kind of drive digital transformation and process automation in their organization. So let's go ahead and dive right in. I think a lot of you all know that many companies are really kind of struggling with digital transformation. So these statistics probably are not a surprise to you at all, but there are two that I wanted to kind of highlight, and then we'll dive into how we can actually maybe solve for some of these. The first one is that lack of visibility. So a lot of organizations really say that it's been very difficult for them to understand what business processes they have in their organization and how they're actually working on a day-to-day basis. And then the other thing I wanted to mention here is that lack of capability. I think a lot of organizations are maybe looking at one or two specific automation technologies as they're starting to build out their COEs, as they're starting to build out automation projects. And that's something that we feel like may be one of the reasons that companies are struggling. So let's kind of dive into an approach that we really have found does help drive that kind of digital transformation and more automation success. And it's really the idea of an end-to-end automation approach. So not just looking at maybe one type of technology that can help with automation, but really looking at a multitude of different technologies and different capabilities that you can use in your organization. So first of all, on the visibility side of things, let's talk about what process mapping is. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have heard the term process mapping, but may not really kind of understand or think about how important it actually is to the whole automation process. So process mapping is really the idea of not just kind of discovering what processes are out there in your organization, but documenting them and making sure that there's consistency in how those processes are being used. So you can spend as much time as you want kind of discovering what your processes are, but unless you document how they should actually be used and what the appropriate way to make workflow, it's really not going to help you in terms of your automation success. So being able to document and understand the flow of your processes and really look at improving those processes over time by collaborating with users across the entire organization to really understand and get feedback on where processes are working and where they're not. This also does help you identify opportunities of other areas where you can maybe lean into some automation technology, automation tools to really help improve your processes over time. So kind of moving into more of the automation technology, one of the first things that I'll talk about here is business process automation. Now, this was maybe previously known as workflow automation, but we really like to think of this as a little bit more holistic approach, really orchestrating work. This may be orchestrating work between the humans that are involved with the processes, or it could be a combination of orchestrating human-based work, maybe bot-based work, as well as integration within different systems. And this really helps drive kind of a full, consistent end-to-end application, really gives you good visibility and insight into exactly what's happening as part of a process, so you know if there's any bottlenecks that are occurring or if there are any errors that occur over time. Now, certainly, I think one of the hot topics that we've heard a lot about in the last couple of years is robotic process automation. And this is really a great way to help speed up work. Take some of those manual, repetitive, mundane tasks that were previously done by humans and use bots to kind of take all of that work off of your employees' plates. Really helps to decrease errors and automate those repetitive processes. And using the two, kind of BPA and RPA together, really does give you a powerful automation platform that you can solve a lot of different problems with. However, it's one of those things it's not just about BPA and RPA. The other thing that we hear a lot about is document automation. Now, if you look at what a lot of the challenges that organizations have today, it's really a lot of all of that paper-based processes that are still around. It always surprises me that in 2021, we are still talking about paper-based processes, but it's not surprising that there are so many companies out there that are struggling with those paper-based processes. So document automation is something that we also like to talk about as a way to really look at that end-to-end automation solution. So this helps kind of digitize all of that paper that you're working on, but it also helps drive consistency, making sure that you're able to generate documents on a consistent set of templates, really automating the work of kind of creating those documents as part of a process, but also things like signature collections. So we see a lot of common use cases, things like sales orders, vendor and supplier management, loan origination, that are very, very paper-based and document-focused, that actually get a lot of benefit from automating some of the work around generating those documents and then sending them out for approval. So really taking all of these different automation and mapping capabilities together provides you that end-to-end automation approach, and really provides several different benefits that you can use in your organization. So the first, again, is that clear and consistent process. And this is really the idea of taking the process mapping that I talked about, marrying that with the automation and providing that really consistent, clear process that everyone in your organization is going to be able to use, be able to understand, and also provide feedback on to make sure that you're always thinking about improvement. The other thing that low-code automation is going to give you is the idea of being able to connect all of the disparate systems that you have in your organization. Most companies these days do not just have one single platform that they're using in their company for data management, all of the different capabilities they need. So being able to connect all of those different systems and provide that consistent capability across everything that is being used really helps drive that automation success. Third, the idea of being able to expand innovation. So this is not just looking at what additional things can you automate in your organization, but it's also the idea of being able to kind of free up your resources to really work on the hard problems and drive innovation, drive better customer experience for your customers, and really just opening up new opportunities for innovation in your organization. Finally, the idea of agility. Now, we all know that technology changes very, very rapidly these days, and it's important to be able to have a way to really kind of future-proof your organization. So providing something that is focused around low-code automation that really will connect to different systems, regardless of if it's a system that you have in your organization or it's new technology that's going to come in, really helps drive that agility and helps you ensure that you are always ready for whatever comes your way in the future. So that's just a little bit of information about some of the technologies that you should think about when you are working on driving automation projects. But one of the things we always hear about is, okay, great, understand the technology. I even understand how each of those different things are going to help my organization drive digital transformation, but I just don't know where to get started. So we have just a quick 4-step process that we have really found has helped our customers think about how to get started and how to continue their automation journey. So let's really quickly dive into that. So driving that success with automation really starts first with identifying and prioritizing what opportunities you have in your organization for automation. Now, one of the things that I often tell customers is you don't have to start with the kind of biggest process in your organization. You can really look for things that are maybe more low-hanging fruit, quick wins that you can get to really show the value of automation, but are also maybe easier to get implemented more quickly. So looking for ways to get those quick wins, but also identifying what are all the opportunities we have in the organization and starting to prioritize those based on whatever outcomes you are trying to achieve with your automation projects. Second, the idea of not just automating those processes, but really taking some time to optimize those processes before diving into the automation. I always like to say, just because you automate a process isn't going to make that process better. You actually need to take some time to figure out, is the process doing what we want it to do right now? Or are there ways that we can optimize that and make it better over time? So it's okay if some pieces of a process are not immediately automated, as long as you have an overall approach for automating and making processes better over time. That's certainly the most important piece. Third is the idea of making sure that you are really selecting enterprise-grade tools. Now, when you look at the automation technology space today, you will see a lot of different vendors. Nintex is just one of many that are out there. But there are definitely some things that we think will help you kind of identify the right technology partners and the right technology tools for what you are trying to achieve. First of all, one of the things that we have found that's really important is the idea of ensuring that you're finding tools that really help drive rapid development. And it's not just something that maybe more traditional IT or professional developers are involved in, but that you're also bringing the business users into the process of developing your automation solutions. So being able to ensure that you're empowering both your citizen developers, your business users, as well as your IT users is really going to help you drive that automation success. The other thing that we've seen is, look, there are a lot of tools out there, and not every tool is built for every different problem that you may have in your organization. So you want to really identify what are the key challenges that you are trying to solve, and make sure you're focusing on bringing in a vendor or a tool set that is really going to help you solve those problems. As I mentioned, RPA is a very hot topic these days, but it doesn't necessarily solve or is the best solution for every single challenge out there. So really identify what are you trying to resolve, and think about how you can find vendors that will maybe work together to really drive that end-to-end automation. It's very unlikely in this day and age that you are going to have one platform, one technology platform that is going to solve all of your problems. So being able to find a vendor that either has partnerships with other vendors in the space or can easily connect and orchestrate work over multiple different systems is really going to help you drive that success. The other thing I would say, again, is making sure that when you do find tool sets that help empower those citizen developers, you don't want to forget about IT. It's not just all about the business users. You really want to make sure that your IT teams are able to be involved to help drive that governance and control around critical things like security, compliance, to make sure that you're really staying in compliance with anything that you need to worry about in terms of regulations or thinking about risk as well. The other thing that I will say too is, outside of just the technology, really think about the vendors that you're working with and look for vendors that will become a partner in really driving automation success for you. So it's not just about technology, it's also about how well does the vendor provide support? Are they willing to work with you and really build that relationship to help you get to your automation success and really meet your specific goals? So all of that is something that we are really focused on providing our customers at Nintex, and something that we really feel like is going to be a way for you to achieve digital transformation success in all of your automation projects going forward. The last thing too, I think we've heard a lot about the idea of a center of excellence here during the event today. And this is something that we're really starting to see a lot of uptick on. A lot of our customers that we are working with are building out COEs, and it really is a great way, not just to provide kind of consistent guidelines and compliance about what type of automation projects you are going to work on, but it also is really key to driving adoption across all of your organization. Getting those key stakeholders involved in your centers of excellence and really driving the idea of kind of organizational success through a COE is really going to help you be as successful as possible as you drive your automation projects together. So with that, that was just a really quick overview. Natalia, I don't know if there are any questions that have come in that we can answer in the last few minutes that we have.
Absolutely. We have some questions from our audience members. So let's just go with the top questions. We have very little time. Thank you so much, Holly. That was very, very insightful. So here we go with the first question is, though we talk about citizen development, Holly, how real is this actually? Can you highlight some case studies of enterprises having done this at scale with associated benefits? It's a great question.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a great question. So I think citizen developer concept has kind of been something that we've talked about a lot in the industry over the past couple of years. And I certainly think, depending on what type of automation projects you're working on, it may be a little bit less likely that a citizen developer can build out a really, really complex process that really should be something that IT is involved in. However, I will say that one of the things that we've seen in Nintex is that the idea of bringing in those business users, the kind of more business-focused folks, into the process of developing this solution will really help drive better collaboration and better adoption in all of your projects. And we actually have many different customers who have started to take that approach of both IT and business users being involved together to build out process solutions. We have a lot of great case studies up on our website to give you a little bit more detail. But just off of the top of my head, a couple of that I know we've worked with previously, Rogers Communications has a whole citizen developer focused COE that uses the Nintex products to help drive that automation. Sempra is another one that we have a lot of great experience with as well. So would love to chat more about opportunities to help your organization with that.
Sounds great, Holly. Another question asks, there are two parts to the low-code, no-code application development. One is concerned with enabling business users or citizen developers to build low complexity apps. And the other one is around low-code platforms enabling professional developers building mission critical, high complexity apps with more efficiency. So where would you see is the bigger value unlock, Holly? As an enterprise, should I favor one over the other, or do I need to worry about both?
Yeah, great question. I think both have their benefits. So it really does kind of depend on what challenges you are kind of focusing on first. I would say typically what we see is those no-code platforms are a little bit more focused on kind of internal employee productivity. Those are really some of the platforms that are more focused on the citizen developer type solutions. Whereas low code is a little bit more focused on what I would say is maybe organizational wide or maybe more mission critical type use cases, maybe those things that are more focused on providing external customer experience or customer success solutions. So it kind of depends on what you are focused on, whether you're more focused on internal productivity or looking kind of external as to which types of solutions you want to build. But what we are starting to see for sure is that it's often a mix of both, and bringing in vendors that are good at no code and low code is certainly an option as well.
Wonderful. Third question, Holly, is you spoke about tools-based process mapping, but if my current approach of using workshops and ideation tools is running fine and giving results, why do you think I should still consider tools?
Yeah, great question. So one of the things that we have actually found is the workshops and kind of identifying what that journey map looks like is absolutely the right approach for getting that cross collaboration. But over time, what we have seen is unless we have a tool that is being used to kind of build out and map that process, it can be really challenging to always keep those process maps up to date. So utilizing a tool that makes it really, really easy to make changes, easily get feedback from the organization at large really helps kind of keep your process maps up to date. The other thing that we've found is when new people come on, think about kind of new employee onboarding opportunities. If you have that all of those process maps in an easily accessible tool for everyone in your organization, it's just much easier to make sure that everyone is on the same page and that new employees get up to speed with the internal processes as quickly as possible.
Wonderful. Thank you, Holly. So we have time for one last question from the audience. What kind of skills are required to run Nintex Pro Map, and will this be used by professional developers, automation engineers, or business users? Holly.
Great question. So one of the key kind of focus areas that we have at Nintex is really making sure that we are empowering those business users who are really the owners of a process. So not only with ProMap, which is our process mapping tool, but all of our automation tools, it's really focused on making sure that business users, maybe IT or operations professionals, are able to easily use all of our tools to map and automate processes. So you don't have to be a super hardcore developer to use any of our tools. I am certainly not a hardcore developer, and I use all of our tools on a daily basis. So more process owner type folks is really what we are focused on.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Holly, for sharing this wonderful masterclass and your wisdom and insight.